You had the Lakers in this series, right? You had the Lakers in 6?
Yes, because it came down to who do I trust? Like, do I trust LeBron or do I trust Dylan Brooks?
You are now listening to The Dime with Josh Rodriguez, your weekly go-to podcast for all things NBA. And now, your host, Josh Rodriguez.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Dime, presented by the Ballislife Podcast Network. The first round series are underway, and Kwab and I give you our first impressions. But first, if you want to follow The Dime, you can on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez. At Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab at Kwab, aka Yes. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube on the Ballislife Podcast Network, audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all that good stuff. Make sure you give us 5 stars, leave a review, leave a comment saying how much you love the show. Kwab, we are charting in Japan. What you know about?
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Tokyo, man. I always wanted to go to Tokyo. How you been? It's been like a couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, it has, right? Yes. How's everything with you going? I'm good.
Everything's good. Knicks 1-1. Nervous about game 3, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, and I can go on a little rant about the Nets and how they're driving me into stop my sobriety. So
stop your sobriety. Jeez. It's like, first of all, I didn't even know you were sober at this point. I mean, not that you're an alcoholic by any means, but I didn't know that you were going dry there.
Yeah, I go through phases. So now, after watching the game I watched today, I'm about to turn up tomorrow. So if
all right, let's get started. Let's move on. There's no segments today, no fun stuff, no NBA Twitter, no pole dancing. We're gonna get straight to the series. Start off with the Warriors Kings, which is now 2-1. The Warriors defeat the Kings 114-97. Defending home court without Draymond Green, the Kings now lead the series 2-1. After 3 games, Kwab, are you surprised that the Kings are up?
No. No, I don't think. Like, we talked about how the Warriors are terrible on the road.
Awful.
And awful. Just makes no sense. But the headline with this series has been what happened with Draymond, but it should have been how well the Kings have been playing against the Warriors when they played them at home.
Facts.
Probably one of the only teams I've seen on defense able to navigate everything the Warriors were doing in terms of like their split action, the way they run stuff off screens. They were just everywhere. And I think that a lot of that has to do with Mike Brown being the head coach and being a former Warriors assistant. It's tough to beat the Warriors in a 7-game series.
It is.
Multiple episodes we talked about it. And I'm watching, I'm just like, okay, I expected them to win tonight because they were at home, but at some point they're going to have to win on the road. It's going to have to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen, but at some point they're going to have to get together or they're going to lose the series and they're going to be out in the first round.
Yeah, I think this is a series where each home team wins each game. That's why I had the Kings in 7. Kwab and I didn't have a pre-playoffs prediction show. A lot of that had to do with the fact that my mouth was swollen from dental surgery and couldn't speak. So if you can't speak, you can't do a podcast. But if you do follow us on Twitter, you did see our predictions. I picked the Kings in 7. Thinking that this would be a series where the home team wins each game. And so far that's holding true. I can't trust a team that's won 11 games on the road. I don't care who you are, man. Like, I know that this team has championship pedigree and everyone's like, well, it's the Warriors. Well, this is the Warriors that I've seen this year. Like, what am I supposed to go by? I'm supposed to go by 2016 and expect them to be the 2016 Golden State Warriors? No, like, this is the version of the Warriors that I know. This is the version of the Warriors that is in the playoffs. I'm going to go with that. They've won 11 road games all season. You expect me to think that they're going to go into the most unhinged environment that the NBA has to offer and win a road game? Are you out of your mind? No. So that's why I picked the Kings in 7. I don't think the Kings win one in Golden State because the Warriors are just as good at home as they are bad on the road. But yeah, I mean, credit to the Kings defense, which is something I didn't think we would say. You mentioned it. You know, Mike Brown was an assistant coach of the Golden State Warriors. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they're able to guard the split action better. And I think Davion Mitchell deserves some credit. Not the fact that he's stopping Steph Curry, but, you know, he is someone who can make life a little more difficult for Steph and those perimeter players. So, you know, impressive showing by the Kings, especially on the defensive end in the first 2 games for sure. I want to get your opinion on Draymond. Now, he missed game 3. I guess it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, Draymond missed game 3, but what did you think of that? Did you think he should have been suspended?
I was surprised he got suspended because his leg got grabbed. So I didn't think he was going to get suspended, but I wasn't like shocked it happened, just because it was like, I'll say this. I don't think he got suspended because of the action. I think he got suspended because of what he did afterwards.
I agree.
When he was walking around like he was in the WWE, like just like
like a heel, like a WWE heel.
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I love this," and I'm just like, and I was like, "Yo, this is crazy." He looks crazy. I get it. Like his emotions were on high, but then somebody made a point, was like, Adam Silver's in the crowd. I was like, "Oh, that's not good.
Yeah,
that's not good." But I think ultimately that's why he got suspended for that game, because of it was because of that action. Yes, it was him stomping on somebody's chest is crazy. This stuff like this always seems to only happen like Draymond, which is unfortunate. I was actually having this conversation with a couple of people the other day. They were talking about how they love Draymond's game in terms of his impact on the court. He's basically the engine on the team, on offense and defense. He's such a big part of the team, but with everything that happens with him, it kind of, people seem to just forget that and be like, oh, he's just a guy that ends up complaining to the refs, or stuff like this happens, which negates like how big of an impact he is for this team moving forward. Even without him, I expected the Warriors to win. I just felt like it was just going to be an emotional game for them, just coming home, being down 0-2. And it, like, without Draymond, I expected him to win. Now, I think the big game is the next game. When he does come back, I want to see what the reaction is with him, and like how they play with him at home. I think it's going to be crazy. But yeah, I was surprised he got suspended, but not at the same time, not shocked it happened.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he got suspended because Adam Silver was in the crowd, and you see Draymond Green basically cursing out the section behind the Warriors bench. And, you know, as the commissioner of the league, you start thinking, oh, crap, Mal's at the Pals. This is unacceptable. We can't have you do this.
Yeah,
man. You're yelling at Sacramento Kings fans. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Like, all it takes is one Sacramento Kings fan like, you know what? I'm going to chuck my beer at you. Draymond gets hit in the face. Draymond goes into the stands. Draymond starts throwing bows. And all of a sudden, we have, you know, they're lighting the beams in people's police officers are lighting beams in people's faces. Like,
regular people, please stop picking fights with athletes. It's not going to work out well for y'all. Like,
you will lose.
You will lose 100% of the time.
100% of the time. You're not Jake Paul, which is baffling to me that Jake Paul's beating up former athletes, but that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole.
So, Kwab, you had Warriors in 6. I want to know if you're still sticking to that prediction.
Going into it, I had Warriors in 6 because I felt like they would get, not the first game, maybe the second game in Sacramento, come home and be able to do what they do and pull it off. For now, I'm sticking to it.
Okay, respect.
Do I believe it? Nah, but right now I'm sticking to it.
Your word is your word, Kwab.
My word's my word.
All right, cool. You know, listen, I like I said, I think the home team wins each game. You know, the Warriors are a better team with Draymond. So, you know, when you see these Twitter takes about like, well, the Warriors better without Draymond Green, we saw him get. No, he's not. They're not. I don't know why I made that voice for certain Twitter users, but it's a dumb take. The Warriors are way better with Draymond Green. I just think they're awful on the road, and that's what you saw. Facts. I still like the Kings in 7. It's still hard for me to actually like commit to that. I'm more saying that because I said it in the past. The Warriors just gotta get one on the road, man. Because I don't think the Kings win in Golden State, but we'll see. Let's move on to the early game, which was the 76ers taking a 3-0 lead over the Brooklyn Nets. They win 102-97. The Tyrese Maxey show at the end, the NBA referee show before that. Kwab,
the CTE basketball I just witnessed. Please start testing for CTE in the NBA. I'm tired of watching this. What the heck did I just watch, bro? I was going crazy on this.
That game was drunk, bro. That game was drunk. It's got to be frustrating as a Net fan, bro. Your season's in the balance, and there's an inbounds play. You're down 3, and
it shouldn't have came to that. It shouldn't have came
No,
to
it
that.
shouldn't have. You're right.
It shouldn't have came to that. It shouldn't have even came to that. Look, I'm all for it. I'm not the type of person, and you know this with me. Like, I can accept my team losing. Like, it happens. I've been a Nets fan for a while. I have to accept my team losing. I can't accept like losing in stupid ways and just it was just like, yo, what is happening? There's so many things that happened during the game that I was just shaking my head at. I'm like, yo, this, you can't be serious. I don't understand ejecting James Harden,
Do I?
but not ejecting Joel Embiid.
Ridiculous.
That threw me off, because I was like, at that point, I'm like, when I saw it happen with James Harden, I'm like, oh, he's probably gonna get flagrant 1 also. Keep it moving. It doesn't matter. They're like flagrant 2 out the game. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It felt like a makeup call.
Yeah, how do you make up an ejection? Like, well, we didn't eject this guy. Like, that's crazy.
It felt like a makeup. I'm like, that's crazy. That was terrible reffing. But throughout this course of the series, there's been multiple moments. There's been like terrible reffing, and I'm not talking from a Nets perspective. I'm talking on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Just terrible reffing. The other thing I'm gonna say is, like, and this is directed to a lot of my friends who are Sixers fans. When you watch this team, do y'all honestly believe y'all can win a championship? Like, can we be 100 about this? And I got like multiple texts from friends after like they were up 2-0, like, oh, it's a wrap. We have the MVP. We're gonna win the chip. I'm like, bro, there's no way you're watching this team, and in the heart of your heart, you're thinking like, yeah, we can definitely win a chip. Like, to me, James Harden hasn't looked that good. Tyrese Maxey has looked amazing. He's been balling out of his mind. Melton has been playing really well.
Tobias has had a good series from what I've seen.
Tobias has a solid series. He's just kind of just fitting in, making it happen. PJ Tucker's been doing a lot of the little things. Like, he's been frustrating the hell out of me. Just offensive rebounding, getting second chance points, all that. Joel Embiid doesn't look healthy again. This game, it was like his knee, his ankle, like he was like lumbering, but he's still so talented. He gets it done. And that's on the Sixers side. I just, to all my friends who are like Sixers fans, like, do y'all really honestly believe like this team can win you a chip with some of the stuff you've seen?
My problem with the Sixers is that there's like no energy with them. Like, there's no sense of urgency. I don't feel like passion for the game. I know it sounds weird. It's kind of like a weird critique to have, because that's not something you can measure. That's not something that shows up statistically. But, you know, when you watch the Warriors, there's like some type of fire. There's like the Kings, the same thing. The Knicks have it, with the Sixers, it just seems like they're just there. Like, it just seems like it seems like, all right, clocking in to do our job. Let's do our job. Okay. Let's do it.
I think the person that really like brings it is like Maxey. Like, just he's been phenomenal.
And Niang. But like,
no, he's a bum.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's Niang. It's not like it's Embiid. Embiid, don't get me wrong, Embiid too. I think Embiid cares, but there's just something about this team that doesn't feel off. It seems like they have to kind of be challenged before, like, they don't take it to you. Like, you have to punch them in the face for them to kind of respond. And, you know, you can take a jab for the Nets, but you can't take a couple jabs from the Celtics and be okay. You can't take a couple jabs from the Bucks and be okay. And to me, that's what worries me about the 76ers. I think they have the talent there. I think Harden has to play better. Harden was having a good game, by the way, until he got ejected today. So I'll give him credit for that.
He was having a great game. A great game, yeah.
But there's just like no sense of urgency. There's no, like, I don't know. They don't punch first. I think that's what it is. They don't really punch first, and they don't really have like this instinct of this. I don't fear them. Like, there's nothing there that makes me think that like they're gonna step on my neck and just kill me. Where I feel that way about the Bucks. I feel that way about the Celtics. I feel that way about the Warriors, even though they are where they are. I feel that way about pretty much those are all I feel. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I completely understand. It's like and yeah, props to, like, Harden was having a good game. My whole thing with Harden also has been like, to me, I've said this a lot. He hasn't looked right since the hamstring injuries, in terms of like just his explosiveness getting to the rim. Like the step back 3-pointer is always going to be there for him. Like the step back, he hit a bunch of step back mid ranges is going to be there for him. But just he used to be able to get to the rim, finish, draw fouls easily. He doesn't have the same pop that he used to have.
Yeah.
So
First
like
step
that's
is not there anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't look the same. It doesn't look the same to me. So there's that, and like against a better team, better matchup. I don't know how that's gonna look. I was so confused watching this game today. There's so many moments I was like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
And that's from both sides.
Yeah.
Like, because I try to watch the game objectively as I can. Like, even though I'm a diehard Nets fan, I try to watch the game objectively, and I'm just like, there were so many moments I was like, what are y'all doing? On the Nets side, Jacque Vaughn, please stop playing Joe Harris. I don't understand why you I get it. Like, he's whatever, the homegrown blase. I love Joe Harris, but like, bro, there was so many he missed like 4 straight threes in a row in a span where like the league could have been expanded. And you bring him in the second half. I'm like, yo, why do you keep playing him? He's food on the other end.
0 for 3 from 3. 0 for 3 overall in 3 minutes.
And those were like wide open threes. During that could have broke the lead a little bit further. But okay, doesn't stop playing Joe Harris. There's a whole, I think you also tweeted something about why don't they play Cam Thomas? He got
11 minutes. 11 minutes, 3 for 6, 6 points.
They don't like Cam Thomas. It's just what it is.
Yeah,
like,
I just think Jacque Vaughn doesn't like the fact he doesn't play defense. He doesn't pass the basketball. I think it goes against everything that Jacque Vaughn stands for. Not only as a coach, but as a player when he played. So just doesn't want to see him on the court.
He looks at Cam and it's like, I was better than you. You're not playing. Like, is that what
not that he was better. I think certain coaches have philosophies. Like if I was a head coach, I wouldn't, don't get me wrong, Cam Thomas is talented, but like I wouldn't like the fact that he didn't pass, took 30-foot step backs and didn't play defense. Like that's not the type of player I want to be coaching. And I think that's what Cam has run into. I mean, that works with some systems and some coaches like get away with that, but you have someone like Jacque Vaughn, who was a defensive pass first point guard his whole career, doesn't see the game the same way that Cam Thomas does, has a different philosophy with that. So,
and the last is like Nick Claxton. What are you doing, bro?
But listen, I get what you're doing, but there's no way he should be ejected for that. These texts are so damn soft. I get it. Like, you have to be aware. Like Nick Claxton has to know that that's going to be called a tech. I understand that. Don't get me wrong, but there has to be some room for trash talk in the NBA. There has to be some room for going face to face with each other. There has to be some type of room for that because that's what competition's about. And I'm sick of these refs or the NBA making these refs call these technical fouls on these players when they're just showing emotion or they're talking a little bit of trash. Let it freaking happen, man. Let it happen. And, don't tell me the refs aren't reffing to the situation because James Harden got ejected because Joel Embiid didn't get ejected. These referees are very well aware of what's going on in the game. Claxton has a technical foul. Don't give him a technical foul there. He didn't do anything. He looked at Joel Embiid wrong. But because he looked at Joel Embiid wrong, like stared him down just a little bit, you're going to devoid the freaking Brooklyn Nets of their starting center for the rest of the game. Like that's ridiculous. This is so stupid. The whole rule book needs to be changed with how these refs. Seriously, it's stupid. I think they're so petrified of things getting out of hand on the court that they're just kind of tightening the ship a little too much. But us fans, I liked when the Knicks were getting into fights every year. I liked when there was trash talk. I like when, I'm not saying it should be like hockey where we're throwing fist fights every single game, but let them trash talk. Let them get in each other's face. At the end of the fight, find them. All these NBA players, they say it. They say, hey, no one in the NBA wants to fight because they don't want to lose that amount of money. All right, so
yeah.
Come on, man.
That's
this is wild. Like I'm a Knick fan. I would love to see Donovan Mitchell dunk on Julius Randle and yell in his face. Yes. When we do it back, and it creates a rivalry, creates hatred. It's entertaining.
True. I just like you said, but he just has to be smarter than that. And this comes from the reason why I say that is because it's been something he's been doing the whole season where I don't know if you caught the bench after he made the dunk. If you caught the bench of coaches who are looking at him get back, what are you doing before the technical happened? Because he constantly does that. But like you said, it's again, the refs were terrible. They've been terrible this whole series. Awful. Just awful. Nets in 7 though.
Let's move on.
In 7. Nets in 7.
I
said
gotta
it.
save you here before you embarrass yourself. Let's move on. The Suns beat the Kawhi-less Los Angeles Clippers tonight, 129-124, in a game that was closer than I think it should have been, but they take a 2-1 lead over the Los Angeles Clippers. We can talk about the game. We don't have to because it was going on at the same time as the Warriors game. I live in Los Angeles. It was on NBA TV. Therefore, it was blacked out because I don't have cable. I use YouTube TV. Couldn't watch the game. Could not watch the Suns Clippers. I couldn't watch a playoff game.
Rough.
I couldn't watch a playoff game. Don't want to talk about it. Anyway, Suns take a 2-1 lead. Listen, I don't know how to ask this question without sounding like a jackass. Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
At one point, do you go, bro, come on. You gotta play.
His knee is messed up, bro.
You think it's that bad?
Yes. For him not to play in a playoff game, it's not. This is not a back-to-back load management situation. Like they said, the report said that he was dealing with it the second game and he played through it. So it happened the first game and he played through it the second game. He's looked incredible the first 2 games.
That's what I'm saying.
Dealing with whatever he's dealt, which is crazy, but it was, I guess the pain was that bad he couldn't play. Like I don't think Kawhi is the type of person that's like, man, not today. Like people really think that's who Kawhi is. Like,
I mean, mostly everybody thinks that. Now, listen, you have to give the athlete the benefit of the doubt. If they say they're injured and can't go, who am I to question that? You know what I mean? But I'm going to question it. Like,
but I'm going to question it.
I'm not really going to question it. I just think if I'm a Clipper fan, it's really frustrating. You invested in Paul George, you invested in Kawhi Leonard, and we all saw what happened to Paul George. He's obviously hurt. You can't blame someone for getting hurt. You can't get mad at someone for getting hurt. It happens all the time. I just think it's kind of came out of nowhere, right? I know that Kawhi has his problems. I know that he's been on load management for the past whatever so years, but he looked phenomenal in games 1 and 2. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like, oh, he's not playing. Kind of came out of nowhere. And it feels like you're being blindsided. And I think because you're being blindsided, it kind of feels like you're being lied to a little. Do you get what I'm saying? Not that you are being lied to, but that's just, if I'm a Clipper fan, it gets to the point where it's like, dude, come on, man. Like what's going on here? Like, be real with me. Because honestly, if his knee is as bad as you're saying it is, like, why? Like, he's got to be retiring soon.
I mean, that's why, if you think about it, that's why, like, before when he left the Spurs, he didn't play that whole year. Apparently, I think I gotta look it up to make sure, because I don't want to misspeak, but it might be a degenerate issue. So something like he's always going to be dealing with for like the rest of his life. I think that's when it was first reported back in the day.
Yeah.
So the only way he can play throughout the course of his season is like he has to take time off, I guess, continue rehab, and that's why when he was on the Raptors, he like people don't really remember because they won the championship, but he barely played during the course of the season. He didn't play back to backs. He would play once in a while, and everybody was cool with it because they're like, when it gets to the playoffs. I guess the feeling was the same now with this going in. I was surprised, like you were. I'm like, well, he's not playing. Then for him not to play, it has to be bad.
It has to be bad,
like,
especially in a series that's tied 1-1. You're going back, to take a 2-1 lead. Probably if you win the game, like that could change the whole series. That can change the whole complexion of your season. I feel bad for Kawhi. I also feel bad for Clippers fans, man, because now it's like, we win game 4. It's like, what are we playing? Like Kawhi's gonna he's not gonna be around. He might play game 4. He might play game 5, but can I trust him to play game 6? Can I trust him to play game 7? If we move past this round, can I trust him to play in the second round? It gets to the point where it's like, what am I even rooting for at this point?
You hope he gets healthy as it progresses along, and also Paul George can get healthy. I don't know like how when his timetable is, but I was going to switch topics real quick. What's been your viewpoint of the games you've been able to watch of the Suns?
I was talking to Veltri, who I haven't had on the dime in a long time, but Josh Veltri, frequent guest of the Dime, mutual friend of ours in our group chat with AJ Kelly, another mutual friend, and he was saying how he read something where like the Suns don't take enough 3-pointers, and they're always kind of like no matter what game that they're in, because they don't take enough 3-pointers, like the math just doesn't add up, and they're always going to be behind, or they're always going to be fighting an uphill battle. And I found that very interesting because the Suns, like with KD and Booker and Chris Paul, like they're a very good mid-range jump shooting team and a team that can create off the dribble. And I think that's what's so sexy about them, where it's just like, damn, like they can create any shot at any time in any like formation. You can run a pick and roll. They can do ISO. They can do anything they want. But I do think that is a good point where it's like I'm watching these games, and when they look really good, it's because Booker's hitting a pull-up jumper because, like, you know what I mean? It's they're moving the ball. There were times, like, especially in game 2 where they're moving the basketball and everything looks good, but a lot of it is just, like, individual skill. Like, we're just more talented than you, and I think they're good enough, like, where if they're all clicking at the same time where they can win a championship that way. I don't know if I'm as confident as I was going in, to the playoffs. I think their ceiling's a little lower in the sense where I think their ceiling is an NBA championship, but it's not as convincingly as I thought it would be. It's not. I don't think they win the West as convincingly as I thought they would. I still pick them. I still think they can. I still think they will. But I think that they need to add that 3-point element. I think Booker needs to spot up more. Durant needs to spot up more for three, and they need to figure out that math to kind of tilt the math in their favor a little bit, because I do think that that is a good point that was made.
They're getting production from like Torrey Craig from the 3-point line just because he's the one player that's going to be open. I think I gotta look up the box score, but I think Chris Paul got a couple of open ones also.
Yeah, so they shot 10 for 27 today from 3-point range. Clippers shot 15 for 35. So they lost by 3-point battle by 5 3-pointers, which is 15 points. They won the game, but like Veltri said, it's like you have to win the game despite that difference. In today's NBA, that's tough, especially when you play a team like the Warriors. I mean, it's interesting because you can get away with that with like a team like the Lakers. Like the Lakers aren't a strong 3-point shooting team either. Like you can beat a team like that, but if you're going against like the Celtics, forget it.
I was flipping back and forth. I stayed on the Clippers Suns game because I wanted to see, because the score was close. I was kind of surprised at first, but I was like, okay, well, this is what Ty Lue has been used to the whole season, so I shouldn't be shocked. Like, oh, another game without Kawhi and Paul George, cool. I'm just gonna roll out Norman Powell and the rest.
Norman had a great game from what I see.
Great game. He had a great. He was
yeah.
So did Bones Highland, played really well too. It was interesting watching the Suns because there were so many moments where KD is like calling for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, give me the ball, and Chris Paul is just like dribbling, and I'm just like, this is the problem that we didn't think about for them only playing like the 5, or they're only able to play 5 or 6 games where there's gonna be issues like this, or even game 1 where late in the game it was basically just Chris Paul running pick and rolls with DeAndre Ayton, and KD was just standing in the corner, and Booker was just in the corner. I was just like, why aren't the 2 main scorers not touching the ball? And it was like 5 straight possessions where neither of them put up a shot, which I was like, blew my mind. But I think this is the issue with them only playing such a limited amount of games late in the year, where teams were basically, some of the teams were already like, oh, well, we already have our position. We're not putting our real team out there. So it wasn't as competitive as it could be for them. So I still, like you said, I'm with you on that. I still think like they can win the West just because of the talent they have, but it might not be as easy as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, that was the first game they lost, game 1. So to give the Suns some credit, you're going to lose games as a team. You're not going to be perfect. And I think there are lessons to be learned in that game, right? So if you're Monty Williams, if you're the coaching staff, and you see that in the fourth quarter, you ran like 5-6 straight possessions with Chris Paul in the pick and roll, and Kevin Durant and Devin Booker didn't touch the ball. All right, let's not do that again. So you can learn that lesson, and you can implement something where that doesn't happen again. And I think Monty Williams is a smart enough coach to implement that. I think, KD will say something. I think that was handled. I'm confident that was handled. Now we will see. I think when they get tested again, I couldn't watch the game because it was blacked out in my area. But we will see. There will come another time the Suns are maybe down like 4 or 5 points in the fourth quarter. let's see what happens.
Well, how's your viewpoint of your favorite player been, Russell Westbrook?
Let's move on to the Grizzlies. Lakers series tied 1-1.
Wait for the switch. I was waiting for you. Not even a good transition. He didn't even transition that. You guys hear that?
I don't want to waste any time talking about Russell Westbrook. Shout out to it looks like he had a good game today.
He's been hooping. So. Let Russ cook. Okay, let's go to Lakers Grizzlies.
This is an interesting series because I thought the Grizzlies were going to win game 1 and they lost. And I thought the Lakers were going to win game 2 and they lost. So I haven't been reading the series correctly. Ja Morant was out game 2. Many people are saying, well, maybe this team is better without Ja Morant. What's your take on that?
This basically has, to me, it's been a Desmond Bane masterclass since game 1. That's all. That's all. We're just watching a master of work. That's all we're doing. Desmond Bane.
Okay.
No. I'm sorry. Wrong DB. Dylan Brooks.
Right.
My bad. Not Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane is actually. I like Desmond Bane's game.
I like Dylan Brooks too. I agree with you. Desmond Bane. Yeah, Desmond Bane.
No. Dylan Brooks masterclass. My fault. It's been a Dylan Brooks. It's been a Dylan Brooks masterclass since day 1. Yeah, I thought the Lakers were gonna win game 1. I thought they were gonna win game 2 too, just because Ja wasn't playing. But yeah, they came out flat with with energy, like, yeah, we got it. And it kind of fell right into the Grizzlies' hands. The Grizzlies are used to not playing with Ja. Like,
yeah,
Tyus Jones is a like people always say he's a starting point guard in the league.
Yeah.
That was expected. What I didn't expect was Xavier Tillman basically putting up Anthony Davis numbers, and Anthony Davis putting up
Xavier Tillman numbers.
I'm not gonna disrespect Xavier Tillman that way, but you get I was just like, what is happening? But I just the Dylan Brooks basically saying that you got to give me 40 or whatever for me to respect you to LeBron. It's just, that's masterful work, bro. Like, you got to understand what this man is doing.
So this man is the biggest troll on earth.
It's the Dylan the villain is amazing because now think about it. If LeBron comes out and tries to push for that amount of points, it's either he gets it and the Lakers win, or it just like messes up your whole offense and Dylan wins. Either way, Dylan wins.
Dylan knows what he's doing.
Dylan knows what he's doing, right? He has to. No.
I just gotta address this, man. This is a Twitter narrative that drives me crazy. I tweeted about it, but I'm gonna say it again here on the podcast. This whole idea that, like, you see, people aren't scared of LeBron. They'll say whatever they want to him. As if this motherfucker ain't 38 years old, bro. Like, this is not prime LeBron. You are comparing 38-year-old LeBron James to prime Kobe and prime MJ, and the way people talked about prime Kobe and prime MJ. Mind you, what did Chris Childs do to Kobe Bryant, right? What did Rex Chapman do to Michael Jordan? John Starks was always disrespecting Michael Jordan. This idea that Jordan and Kobe and all these other people were not feared and, like, no one touched them or bothered to challenge them, but they'll do that to LeBron James is effing insane. LeBron James is 38 years old. He's basically collecting NBA Social Security at this point, and people are treating him like he's 26 years old on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that they're judging him on this pedestal of, like, LeBron in his prime or great in his prime. The man is better than any 38-year-old we have ever seen. Nobody respected Michael Jordan on the Wizards the way they respect LeBron James right now. Two totally different stratospheres. I had to say that. I'm not someone who, like, rides LeBron's nuts. Like, that's just not who I am. Like, I like LeBron. He's one of the best players of all time. But that narrative to me is just like, it's maddening, dude. It's so maddening.
It's basketball narratives because people ride for the mystique of the past. and that's what it is. It's just a mystique of the past. 15 years, whatever. I don't know when LeBron's going to retire. Whenever he decides to retire and he's out the game, and there's a new player that's everybody's talking about. We're going to be doing the same thing. People are going to spew all these facts like, oh, but he does this. They're going to be like, well, that doesn't compare to LeBron. LeBron did this. It's all narratives. I don't pay any attention to that. I don't know why this whole thing about, oh, well, he was feared. So nobody gets on the course is shaking in their shoes like, oh my God, I gotta play this. Like, nah, bro. Like, it's not. That's not how it works. That's not basketball.
Ever. Ask the Bad Boys Pistons if they were scared of Michael Jordan. You see what they did to him? We all watched The Last Dance. We all watched it. You watched it, right? You saw that.
Everybody saw a couple. I don't understand the whole that it's
a WWE match every time he walked into the palace.
People say that, and I don't understand why. Like, it's a whole thing. Like, oh, they were scared. Like, nobody's scared. You think people were scared of KG back in the day? Maybe because he would be talking to himself and punching himself during the middle of the game.
He was legitimately psychotic. Like, he was someone who was walking around with dissociative identity disorder, on the court, and that's fucking scary.
Strong possibility, exactly. But at the same time, Tim Duncan used to kick his butt up and down the court and let him know about it in that calm, St. Corey voice. Hey, yeah, good try, good job. And KG even talks about there's this whole. I get it because of what LeBron's been able to accomplish being in the game for so long and just being good for so long. He's been good for so long. We don't take that in perspective.
Right.
I understand that. I understand that Jordan won six chips every time he was in the finals. I get it, but there were many times he didn't make it out the first round.
Right.
It happens. Let's not try to. That's why I don't try to compare. I don't compare errors. I don't try to compare players. But
it's ridiculous. I'm a Knicks fan, so obviously Michael Jordan ruined my childhood. But I'll tell you one thing: even though Jordan did beat the Knicks every single time, the Knicks were not scared of him. There's not a single Knick that was scared of him. They just weren't. And that's what I love most about the '90s Knicks is that we went up against Jordan, Miller, all these Hall of Famers, and didn't back down. This idea that Jordan wasn't feared it's a joke. But let's put that aside. You had the Lakers in this series, right? You had the Lakers in 6?
Yes, because it came down to who do I trust? Do I trust LeBron or do I trust Dylan Brooks? And I'm leaving it at that, brother. I always say this. Game 1, I think game 1, Dylan Brooks fouled out, or he had. I think he fouled out, and I was texting with my friend. I was like, they got to find a way to keep Dylan Brooks in the game.
Who's they? The Lakers or the Grizzlies?
The Lakers. You got to find a way to keep that man in the game because he's wilding. That man is wilding. You're gonna have. He had a good game. He had a good game 2, but a good Dylan Brooks game. It's 16 points, 5 for 21, or some wild box score stat. I'm just he's taking terrible shots. I understand he's playing defense and he's pressuring all this stuff, but on the offensive side, he takes you out the game.
Yeah.
He takes you out the game. So that's why when it comes down to it, I had the Lakers winning because I'm who do I trust when I look down the teams? With everything, with how the Grizzlies are, without Steven Adams, without Brandon Clark, I didn't expect Xavier Tillman to step up this well. Well, props to him. I didn't see that coming, but with that, and then with Dylan the Villain, I'm I'm gonna go with the Lakers.
Yeah, I had the Grizzlies in 6. If I can have one veto of my picks, I think it would be this one. I think I would like to reverse my pick and choose the Lakers here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand firm with my pick. Kind of worries me that Ja's out and hurt. I don't subscribe to the fact that they're a better team without Ja Morant. I do understand that he's a little, I don't say ball centric, but he's a little erratic for some people, but I think they need him late in games, especially to break down the defense, to create shots for other players. I think the Grizzlies miss Ja the most in late 4th quarter, game slows down, half court. Can someone create something? Tyus is great, don't get me wrong, and he does a great job at distributing the basketball, but Ja's just on another level of breaking down the defense and making things happen. And I think that will probably be the difference in this series if Ja doesn't come back and he doesn't come back healthy. Let's move on to the next series. It is your New York Knicks take it on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. The series is tied at 1. The Knicks stole game 1 in Cleveland, and the Cavs came back and kicked the crap out of the Knicks. Now, I have a bone to pick with you because you picked the Cavs in 6. Broke my heart to see. I wasn't expecting it. I felt betrayed.
You picked the Sixers over the Nets. What am I? How am I supposed to feel about that?
How can I logically think that the Philadelphia 76ers are not going to... Come on. Let's stop.
No, really. How can you logically...
Now, I know we did talk on the side, though, and you said that it was contingent on the fact that you weren't sure what Julius Randle would look like, his health, because at the time we made our picks, we had no idea if Julius Randle was even playing game 1 or what he would play in the series. Julius has played game 1. You're seeing how he plays. Would you like to retract your Cavs in 6 and be a good friend?
No, because I was looking at watching game 2. It was the one thing that popped out to me was game 1. The Knicks did what I expected them to do in terms of like, hey, no, Isaac Okoro, you're gonna have to beat us,
right?
And there's gonna be that 5th guy on the wing. They're like, you're gonna have to hit some shots to beat us. Game 2, it was Karis LeVert going crazy. Somehow Danny Green is still in the league, doing stuff. And I just feel like a lot of the matchups to me are equal. The reason why I didn't know with Julius Randle because I expect Julius Randle to bully the heck out of Evan Mobley, which he did the first game.
Yeah.
I don't know why he was still late in the game, the second game. Tibbs is wilding. Tibbs, dog, game's over. Sub to start us out, please.
Tibbs gone Tibbs.
Yeah, I don't want to change my pick with that. I still feel like the Cavs are severely underrated. I feel like people they look at them and like, oh, well, yes, they have this, they have that, but like they're not tough, they don't run, blah, blah, blah. But I just feel like they have a lot of talent, and I just trust them more than I trust Tibbs. And I trust Mitchell Robinson, the best center in New York.
All right.
In his words.
All right. He did say that. I actually think the Knicks are the better team. I really do.
You've been saying that for a while, though.
I've been saying that comes from an objective standpoint. I do think they're deeper. The problem with the Knicks for me personally is like the best part of them is also their worst part. When I say that, it's like Jalen Brunson giving you buckets, Jalen Brunson coming down in ISO and breaking down a defense and scoring on you. It's great when it works, and it works a lot, and it's worked more often than not this year. And this is not me saying that I don't want Jalen Brunson to continue playing well, and this is not me saying that I have a problem with Jalen Brunson as a whole. But what you saw in game 2 on the offensive end, there were like 4 or 5 straight possessions where Jalen Brunson just came down and shot the ball. And it happens all the time. It just so happens that a lot of times he's making these shots, so it doesn't like really rear its head. I would like to see Jalen take more of a LeBron approach where he's setting up his teammates early on in the game. Let's get Quentin Grimes an open 3 here or there. Let's get RJ involved. This is also on Tibbs. Get RJ rolling downhill. RJ's not a basketball player. You can just give the basketball and say, hey, go make something happen in an isolation situation. That's not RJ's strength. He doesn't really have a step back game. He's not really that explosive. He can get to the rim, but he doesn't really finish well all the time around the rim. Get him going downhill. Get him in a pick and roll. Getting him in a handoff. Get him coming off of a curl. Get creative with these things. I think the Knicks rely too much on isolation basketball, and it's worked all year. So I haven't really said anything because it's like, well, how can I complain when Jalen Brunson's busting everybody's ass and Julius Randle's putting up 21 points in the first quarter? It's like, all right, well, I really can't say much. But I think in the playoffs, you got to get these other players going, especially the people in your starting unit. There's no reason why Quentin Grimes should be touching the ball 22 times a game for someone who's playing 25 minutes a game. That's insane. He's a guard. He's not like a big guy like Mitchell Robinson who can't catch or who has no post moves. This is a guy who can shoot the 3. This is a guy who can create off the dribble. It makes no sense that you just stick him in the corner and expect him just to kind of all right, well, shoot when the ball comes to you. Well, I don't know when that's going to happen. You expect me to hit a 3 when I'm not in rhythm, when I don't touch the ball. And then you have RJ Barrett who, listen, he needs to play better. I'm not saying that RJ can't play better. I'm not saying he shouldn't bear some responsibility for, him playing as poorly as he has, but Tibbs and Brunson, especially Brunson, the point guard, you got to put him in a better position to score the basketball. His strength isn't, here you go, RJ, make something happen. His strength is going downhill and getting to the rim. And Tibbs has to figure out a way how to do that for him. They have to call plays for him. Jalen, as a point guard, has to understand that, like, yes, I can score now, but I got to distribute the rock. I got to get my teammates involved. And for me, if they don't make that adjustment, I don't know how confident I am that they're going to be consistent at all in this series.
I agree with you because Quentin Grimes just feels like he's very underutilized.
It's underutilized is not even the word, bro. He's in the corner. This man is one of the best 3-point. He might be your best spot up 3-point shooter on the roster, and he's just in the corner, just chilling.
He's there. He's just there for space, and so
he's their best pass. He's the best passer on the team.
He's the best passer on the team.
He's the best passer on the team. Quentin Grimes is the best passer on the Knicks.
Oh, I didn't see. I don't know about that. But
yeah, I know you don't know about that because when you watch him play, he's stuck in the corner.
Hey, you're right. I just think, like, when it comes to with the Knicks, like you said, RJ has to play better. He hasn't played well, but like that also, like you said, also falls on Tibbs. Quickly needs to play better.
Yes.
He hasn't really
100%.
played well either. What you saw the second game was what I expected in terms of your guard play, in terms of how explosive they can be. Mitchell and Garland can go off for 30, easy. But at the same time, them going off for 30 is like they can go off for 30, but also with assists also.
Yeah. Mitchell didn't even shoot the ball really in game 2. He just kind of like
just
let
it out.
But I mean, I could say thinking about the Knicks, like Brunson can give you 30, Julius Randle can give you 30, Emmanuel Quickly can give you 30. RJ has, like, that's what I'm saying. The Knicks have that as well. I don't think RJ's better than Garland. I don't think Quickly's better than Garland. I understand where you're coming from that perspective, where the two starting guards, like Donovan Mitchell's the best player in the series. Like I get what you're saying with that.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just, Tibbs has to make the adjustment where Garland and Donovan don't kill you. I don't know if you trap off of Garland, because now you're kind of like leaving Donovan Mitchell in a situation where he can create for others. So I'm not really comfortable with the trap, but he has to work something out where you get the ball to Garland and Mitchell's hands, and you have the Okoros of the world and the Osmonds of the world beating you. I think if that game is played, if both teams play that game where it's like, hey, we're gonna get the ball in Jalen's hand, maybe get the ball in Garland's hands. Like, I'm more confident in the Quentin Grimes of the RJ Barretts, of the Emmanuel Quickleys and the Julius. I'm more confident in that group than I am with the Okoros and the Osmonds, and that's why I like the Knicks more in this series, because I figured that both coaches are going to try to find a way to get the ball out of the respective stars' hands. And I just like, I like the Knick role players better. I really do, especially Quickly, who's been awful this series. But I think he turns it around.
I've always said this to you. I like it better when Randall is playing smart, in the sense of when he's like looking for his teammates, when he's just working from the
I do too,
in the post, and he's just like making good drives and kicking. When he gets that going, the Knicks to me feel unstoppable, because it's like, are you gonna overhelp? If you don't help, he's just gonna bully you and finish.
I agree.
It's like so simple, but to me, every time I watch him, like, that's not what's happening. It's like they're playing a lot of one-on-one. And it's like, okay, well, how long can you play? How long can you do that for? Yeah. I know Tibbs is going to play for 90 minutes for the whole game, but
the
problem,
it's a double-edged sword. It's like it works. It works sometimes, and it's the thing with Carmelo Anthony. Like, Carmelo Anthony was one of the best ISO scorers we've ever seen. Like, you give him the ball, and like, who's going to stop Melo? But it's like, at the end of the day, like, I need other people doing things as well. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's kind of frustrating to watch. You know me, I like ball movement, so it's kind of hard that my favorite team doesn't really do it that well. But it does sometimes. Like the bench unit, like when Obi's in the game, he's flying down the court and they're looking for each other. That's why I like Obi. I like Obi because Obi forces that, like, just his activity in the offense. Yeah. It forces it. Whether or not, you got to run with Obi. Obi he's out. Like, and he forces you to, like, actually, and that's what I like about Obi's game. But yeah, I still got the Knicks in 7. I do think it goes 7. I do think the Knicks can win a road game 7. I think they can win in Cleveland. That doesn't worry me. I think they split in New York. I think the Knicks win 1 game. The Cavs win 1 game. Goes back to Cleveland. I don't know who wins game 5, but I do think the Knicks win this in 7 still.
That first game in Madison Square Garden is going to be nuts.
All right, let's move on. Let's get through this. We're almost an hour in, so let's just quickly, these series are deemed the series that don't matter because we all know who's going to win them and are uninteresting. Come on, let's be honest. Bucks Heat tied 1-1. Bucks blow out the Heat after game 1. Giannis is hurt. Doesn't matter. I guess my question is, Kwab, the Bucks win in 5, 6, or 7.
You don't believe in playoff, Jimmy?
I don't.
Okay, cool. Then
this is gonna get clipped if he win this series. Like, this is gonna be the most embarrassing
than ever. I mean, I think did I have Bucks in 4 or Bucks in 5? I think I had Bucks in 4, right? So
I had Bucks in 4. So I'm wrong already.
I'm wrong already. I might be wrong. Yeah. I might have had him in 4 also. So
what is there to say about the series? Honestly,
the injuries.
Are we really gonna really break down the series? I don't want to break down the series, but let's move on. This is dead ass. Like, this is Nuggets up 2-0 on the Timberwolves. Another series that to me feels over. I think the Timberwolves do win game 3 or 4. I think it's a gentleman's sweep. I think the Nuggets. I'll say this. I think Nuggets are better than most people think they are, and it's crazy saying that because they're a 1 seed. But I feel like no one's picking them to win the West. They're heavily disrespected, including by me. Like, I have disrespected them.
Me too.
So I will take ownership of that. But they look like they've been the most consistent team in the West all year. Kwab, why not the Nuggets? What have you seen? Are you impressed? Do you think they can win the West?
I mean, I think we've talked about it before. When your offense is rolling, they look freaking unstoppable. Game 1, they just looked unstoppable. The first half of the second game, they looked great. I think the one thing I wanted the Thunder to be in the playoffs to play the Nuggets. Yeah. Because I felt like that was a better matchup. Yes, Jokic would have killed them down low because they have no size. But if you watched the second game against when they played the Wolves, Anthony Edwards was getting to the rim with ease and finishing. And that's the one way you could attack them. He was getting to the rim like he was just splitting, just finishing. And I was like, I envisioned that with Shea and the rest of the Thunder just constantly just doing that to them. But I think the Wolves could get a game or 2 in this series. I think maybe I had them 5 or 6. I don't remember, but I had 5.
We both had 5.
Yeah, I feel like the Wolves can get a series, but I think the Nuggets should win this pretty easily just because they are the better team. Yeah, and they don't punch their teammates. So,
all right, and finally, Celtics lead the Hawks 2-0. My question is, how many games does it take the Celtics to beat the Hawks, and why is it 4?
Hawks in 7. Like
I don't care if I'm disrespecting the Hawks, man. I'm a Knicks fan. The Hawks fans have been nothing but torturous to us. Listen. Oh, you might win a game. Oh, I might be wrong. It might not be 4. Yeah, it'll be 5. You're done.
I think it might be 5.
Sucks.
It's a series.
Sucks. This is serious. Like what? Like, why am I gonna sit here and break down Celtics Hawks?
I'll say this. Seriously. I'll say this about the Celtics are obviously the better team.
Yeah.
The Hawks are one of the most frustrating teams, and this probably and Hawks fans can attest to this. Like, I think they're one of the most frustrating teams because if you look at the roster on paper, they have the perfect team on paper, but the game's not played on paper.
Right.
And when I say the perfect team, I mean you have 2 all-star guards, one that's very offensive side, and one that's a 2-way player. They both are very good in the pick and roll, so that checks off a mark. You have wing players who can be 3-and-Ds. DeAndre Hunter, Sadiq Bey, AJ Griffin. That checks off another mark. You have bigs that can run the floor and finish inside
and play D.
With Capella, with Collins, and Okongwu. So like you have all these pieces that on paper you're like, oh, you're looking at the roster like, okay, he can do this thing, but each one seems to come with an asterisk. And it affects them. It's like, oh well, Trae Young is so good offensively, blase, but he's getting trapped. He gets cooked on defense. Like, DeJounte Murray's a great 2-way player, but he's not a consistent outside shooter, and he doesn't get the ball. He doesn't have the ball in his hands enough in the series. Like, you go down the list, like, and it's just, I know Hawks fans must be so frustrated, and it was like, well, the coaching, there has to be the coach. I'm like, all right, well. They switch coaches, so I think moving forward is like what happens in the offseason when it comes to the Hawks. Where do they go from here? You got a new coach. I don't know what, there's some weird stuff that's going on with your management, but how did they pivot and figure this out? Are you gonna trade, which was something that somehow popped up during the playing tournament? They were like, everything's on the table, even trading Trae Young. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, that's actually really good analysis of the Hawks, because you're right. I mean, when you think of their team, it's like, at every position, really, they have players who can play at like a plus level too. Like, it's not like even you didn't mention Bogdanovich. You didn't mention
off the bench. Yeah, like
Collins. Like,
I forgot players. That's crazy, right? I forgot players.
They're deep. They have players at each position, and they should be better. You're right. They should be better, but they're not. So I don't know what it is, but listen, all I know is that they're not getting past the Celtics, and that's my analysis for the Celtics Hawks. And that's going to do it for today's show. Bob, it was nice speaking to you again.
Yes, sir.
Listen, if you want to follow Dime, you can on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at the Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab at Kwab, aka Yes. I'm going to try to bring some more episodes to you. My mouth is fully healed. You should have saw it, but I had a bruise on my cheek. It was rough, man. It was
crazy.
Yeah, it was not good times. It was not good times at all. But yeah, we'll be back to wrap up the first round. And I think when the second round comes around, like, that's when stuff really gets interesting, and Kwab and I can, deep dive into series and strategy and X's and O's and things of that nature, and we don't have to skip series like the Celtics Hawks. Like, listen, if you're a Celtics fan, if you're a Hawks fan, I'm sorry, but like, come on, like, really. Hey,
Hawks, making me just words. Come back,
please. Give me a break.
Miami, come back. We need.
Yeah. This is gonna get clipped like to oblivion if that happens. But it's not happening. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple of days. Until then, rejoice. The NBA playoffs are here. See you next time for another episode of The Dime.
Nets in 7. I said it again.